Hello and welcome to T Money Talks. In this week's episode, T Money's going to talk about what it's been like learning to be okay with not being creative. So, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. Hello, we are back. It is T Money on this mic. Halloween is finally over. Well, technically, yes, Halloween is over when you're listening to this podcast, but since Halloween did land on a Sunday this year, I didn't really want to record T Money Talks on a Sunday, so I'm technically recording this podcast before Halloween is over. So you will hear about my Halloween plans and what I did on Halloween come the following podcast, but that one will be interesting because I'll have a lot of good stuff to talk about that one. I'll have Halloween to talk about and other things to talk about as well. But before we get started, I just wanted to say I recently purchased myself a new fountain. Now, if you remember, I did have a fountain in season 1. Oh my gosh, there I go hitting the mic again. I already, not even 5 minutes in and I already smacking the mic around. Oh my god. But yes, as you guys remember, I did have a fountain in season 1, except that one was battery powered, so it wasn't the greatest, and I didn't like to use it all the time because of the fact that it did use batteries, and with using batteries, it just drained them so quickly. It wasn't really worth using it all the time. So when I recently went to the mall after a dentist appointment, gosh darn, am I afraid of the dentist? But that dentist appointment was very pleasant. 10 out of 10 would go again. In fact, I will be. Anyways, after the dentist, we went to the mall, Jer and I, and there was a guy selling a bunch of Zen garden things. He was selling plants, fountains, bonsai trees, just about anything you could think of for a Zen garden. And since I am trying to create a very meditative, safe space for me to do whatever it is I please to do in my room, do my little T-money things, my personal things, my little daily tasks that get me through the day, that get me going, Anyways, but yeah, so since I had that battery-powered fountain, I wanted to get a better one that I just plug into a wall. And at the mall, he was selling a lot of different fountains, a lot of really cool ones. However, all the fountains were very expensive. The one I really wanted had not only was a fountain, but it also had a mist coming out, and it was just really cool, and I just really vibed with it. However, it was $70, so I was like, yeah, for a fountain that's really big, and I honestly wouldn't even have the space for it in my room. I had to pass. So as I was looking at these fountains, I had to remember where I have it in my room is on this kind of small wooden, I guess you can say I get I don't want to call it a nightstand, but it's an extra drawer. It's a drawer or a table, kind of I don't know, it's kind of like a almost like a cabinet, but for your floor, like a dresser. I guess you could say it's a small little dresser that I have it on, and it's not that it's not that wide. It's literally a perfect square is what it is. And so I have a couple of other things. I have my salt lamp, a piano, and a little skateboard that I painted one time at a friend's birthday party. And so since this little dresser thing, this little dresser table is rather small, I had to consider the fountain, the size of the fountain. I had to consider the size of it. I had to know whether it or not it would fit where the only place I would have. And luckily enough, there was one fountain that I absolutely loved. It was $40. It was $40 for the fountain that I saw, and I was just it was between two of them. One was $40, the other one I was looking at was $35. However, the $35 one was a little bit smaller, so it definitely would have absolutely fit on my table. This $40 one, I was like, it's a little big, but I also know it's going to be the perfect size, and I was absolutely right. But I had asked Jer, I was like, hey Jer, which one do you think? I showed him the two I was deciding between, and he told me the $40 one. I was like, you're right. I was playing myself to think I would want the $35 one just because it was smaller and it would save me a few bucks, you know. But I ended up getting lucky because the guy, they were sold out of the fountains that I wanted. He was like, but I'll sell you the display. And in my head, like, I automatically wanted to be like, well, is it going to be cheaper, you know? But like I had caught myself and I like stopped myself and I was like, yeah, okay. Because I just had felt like he's gonna give me a discount because it is the display, you know? I felt like I didn't have to, like, I didn't need to, like, push him or like harass the man for like a cheaper price. I just felt like he was gonna do it because like he knew it was the display and it didn't come with like any of the stuff that like it would normally come with. So it did end up being $35 instead of $40, which I was like, oh, sick, you know, same price as the other one, and it was bigger. So I was like, I was here for it. And then I brought it home and I put it on my little wooden thing and I was like, oh man, like it didn't like, oh, I thought my computer did something. Never mind. Back to the fountain. But anyways, yeah. And so when I brought it home and I put it on my like little wooden dresser table thingamajig, I was like, oh no, like it didn't take up more space than I thought it did. It just, I was having on the shelf I have above that little dresser table thing, I had my strawberry pound cake candle, and I was keeping my pumpkin patch candle on my wooden dresser table thing, you know, so I could have both candles out at the same time. But anyways, because of the size of the fountain, I couldn't keep it the candle there, so I had to put the strawberry pound cake away, put the pumpkin patch up on the shelf, and like kind of adjust where I have my little skateboard thing I'd painted. And honestly, I must say, because I know myself, and once I have things set in place for a certain amount of time, I'm just like, nope, it has to stay like that forever. It can't be moved. Otherwise, I will know, and it'll just feel off, and like it'll just throw me off forever. And then like, and so usually when I do get new things and I have to replay or I have to rearrange things, like it does take me like a day or like a couple of hours, or like it takes me some time to readjust to my new room or to the way I rearrange things, because it's just so off-putting to me that it's like my room is no longer what it once was. It feels not like my room anymore, you know? And so I have to like slowly adapt to it. But with this fountain, the way I adjusted it and the way I had to set up everything, it felt so right. It didn't bother me at all, not even a little bit. It didn't make me feel like, oh man, I have to put this candle away, or not everything fits exactly how it's supposed to. And it's like, no, I was like, it feels so much better. It looks so much better the way I have it now. It's like, yeah, no, it was the perfect fountain. That fountain and we were absolutely, I was meant to have this fountain in my room, and I absolutely love it. I hope you could hear it. I could hear it, but again, that's my ears because it's loud. I don't know if the microphone could pick it up, but eventually when I go to play on the when I go to play on the piano, you will be able to hear it, you know, once I do that whole thingamajig over the piano. We do all that jazz. I am looking forward to when I finally get called to do one of those, because I don't like to do those when like I'm like, oh, I should do it because I haven't done one this season yet. Like, come on, time is ticking. And it's like, no. Those piano things are something I can't rush. Those are something that I have to absolutely be called to. I have to feel it. I can't just like force myself to do it. Otherwise, it's just not a good time. It just doesn't feel right. It doesn't feel genuine. And it's not me if I don't do anything that's not genuine of me. And so eventually I will do a piano playing episode, or meditate, do some little releasing of emotions and stuff and all that jazz. But now that I'm done talking about my fountain, which I honestly did not think I would talk about for as long as I did, but hey, it's a beautiful fountain. Like, I think I have posted it on Twitter maybe. I think I have, and if I have not, I will. And if you want to see it, oh, I will be posting it on my TikTok eventually. So if you follow me on TikTok or Twitter, you will eventually see this fountain and how beautiful and how glorious it is. Like, it even has lights. Like, it's a tall fountain. It's a beautiful, like, mountain, rocky looking fountain with lights and a waterfall. And it's just so beautiful, and it's just so peaceful for me, and it just really helps me clear my mind, especially when I start the day in the morning. It's just the perfect thing to add to my meditation and my journaling and my readings. It's a perfect piece to my it's a perfect addition to my room, and I couldn't be more happier with my purchase. But anyways, yeah, now let's get to talking about the whole me learning to be okay with not being creative. And what I mean by that is I've kind of struggled with writer's block for a while. You know, it's like when I was younger, I had like all these songs, and I was gonna say like how bad they all are, but it's like, no, they're not bad songs. Like, I have them on all streaming platforms, and like, I know they're not the greatest songs in the world, but they're, for how old I was when I did write these songs, when I did record these songs, when I had no knowledge and no idea of at all of what I was doing, for the skill and like how it all sounds, it's pretty freaking good. It's pretty darn good, if you ask me, for like how old I was, doing things untrained, having no knowledge how any of the recording stuff worked, kind of just going with like, well, let's press this button and let's see how this works, you know. And it's like, just learning everything on my own. I think I did a really great job. Yeah, there are a lot of people on like this on the internet who will say otherwise or tell me how horrible my songs are, but it's like, I have come to learn that it doesn't bother me, because most of the time when it's the people who actually like take the time to write out that hateful comments, that I feel like to me are genuinely jealous that they can't do what I did, or that they can do what I did, but they just don't have the courage to do what I did. That's the thing that I feel like haters, that's how I feel like haters are. That's what I feel like, the people who take the time to genuinely write a hateful or a mean comment, like in like the most awful way that they can. I feel like those people are either truly and genuinely jealous that they aren't as talented as you are, or they are talented, or if not more talented than you are, but they just don't have the balls to put their song or themselves out there the way I do. And that's why they take the time to put so much energy into this, because like, or the third option is they just have no life and they have nothing better to do. And to that, I really don't care, because that's how I know it's just like, you have nothing better to do, and I know this isn't a genuine thing, so I'm not going to take something that I know isn't personal from you. Like, I'm not going to take it personally, because it doesn't really hurt me, because I know that like I have grown drastically as an artist, and the EP and the music that I am currently working on are amazing, and the growth is so amazing that like it's the reason why I decided to put all of my songs I have on Bandcamp onto all streaming platforms, so that people could hear like this young little like child, like little teenager, like writing music in their bedroom, recording, having no idea what they're doing, and then suddenly like releasing these amazing like bops of songs, like just totally like blowing them out of the water. Like that is the entire reason why I've taken the time to put my songs that I wrote when I was younger and putting them onto Spotify for everyone to hear, is so that like the people who understand music, the people who genuinely listen, who are genuine musicians, or people who genuinely like my music, can hear the potential potential that I have and could hear the slow growth with each song, so that when they do follow along and I do finally drop my EP, they're going to be like, "Oh my god, yes, this is exactly what I've been waiting for from this artist." That is also what I want people to see. And there are a lot of people and a lot of mutuals I have befriended on TikTok who are understanding this through my music, who are hearing and seeing the potential and helping me along the way as well, which is beautiful, because like this is this is kind of brings up the whole idea of why, like, it's okay, why I've had to learn why it's okay not to be creative all the time, because for like since like pretty much all of college, once I transferred to university, versus once after I left community college, I no longer had time to record music or do anything, because once I entered university, everything was more fast paced, so I didn't have a lot of time to focus on my music. So I felt like I had no creativity. I had to put my music on a back burner, and I hated it, because and it kind of put me in a writer's block, because I had no idea what to write about, because it felt like because it had been a couple years since I had written any songs. It's like it just felt like I suddenly had no idea how to write songs anymore, you know? And then suddenly life happens, I get into an accident, and then it's like suddenly my creativity's back. And like not like boom, it's back, suddenly I'm like writing songs left and right, although there was a time that there was a short period of where I was. It's just that like I've learned, like after like the accident, I've learned that like it's okay to have periods of time where you're not creative, where you're like, it's okay to have times where you're resting. It's okay to have moments where you're not writing a new song, where you're not painting, where you're not filming, where you're not taking pictures. It's okay to have time to rest your mind. It's okay if that time is a month, if it's 6 months, if it's a year, if it's 5 years, if it's a day, if it's 3 hours. It doesn't matter how long of a break it is that you need. I think it's very important for us to learn and recognize and listen to our bodies when we are starting to when we're starting to lose creativity, when we're starting to burn out, so that we don't completely burn ourselves out to where we're not writing anything or we're not doing anything creative for 5 years or 3 years, because we pushed ourselves to the max, where now we have no energy for creativity whatsoever. Because that's kind of what happened to me, you know. It's like I was pushing myself, going to school, trying to work, and then suddenly, like, going to a university, I couldn't do any of the creative things I was doing, and it felt horrible. It made me not feel like I was doing any of the things I want to do with my life. And so, like, the little few times I would get to do them, it almost felt like it wasn't genuine, or like it was almost being forced. And so slowly throughout the years, I have had to learn that writer's block and like not being creative all the time is okay, and is honestly a pretty healthy thing, because I feel like doing that, like stopping the constantly working, constantly grinding, like letting the creativity come to me, has helped me be a lot more creative. Like I wasn't writing songs for the longest time, and like to the point where I wasn't writing songs. It had been so long since I was writing songs that I was like, I'm going to do something that I had the idea to start releasing all my Bandcamp songs onto all streaming platforms, so that I could kickstart like my creativity and myself, and like just me going back into music, so that I could focus back on my EP, so that I could slowly get myself back into the grind of working again. Because I feel like not only is it hard to get out of a creative rut, it's hard to recognize when like you're actually out of the creative rut. Because I know sometimes, like when I wasn't writing songs, when I was in university, and like the few times I would get to record, I would get to write songs, or I would get to perform, it wasn't all the time. It was kind of random and sporadic, but it was like I would always take those times and it was usually after those times I would either write a new song or get to record a song or get to work on my EP again. And it's like in those moments I got to feel creative again. But it was like once that it was like after it wore off of like me playing or writing or performing or doing something creative with my music again, after like that wore off, or after a few days, like I suddenly wouldn't be creative at all again. It's like after I finished that one project, it was like done. That was it. That was all the creativity I had. That was like all, yeah, that was all the creativity I had left, and I exerted all my energy, and I no longer had time to write music. So it kind of felt like that all the times I was finally out of my creative rut, I finally overcome to my writer's block, I would just bam get like thrown back into it. And it was because I wasn't ever truly really out of the creative rut. I just had kind of creative like bursts, you know. I never had that full creative energy back. I was just slowly getting that bursts again from taking the time away from my music, from taking time to rest my brain, from taking time to experience life, to take time to actually find things to write about, you know. So eventually, like when my accident did come, I finally did start to have things to write about. But it was like I had to pace myself. I had to slow myself down from wanting to do everything all at once, all in one go, like no sleep, just writing songs, recording, doing everything, and releasing everything like as soon as possible, because that was kind of the way I wanted to do. That was the way I did things back then. It's like it was like once I had a song, it was like, okay, I wrote it, it sounds great, let's record it, let's release it, let's make a music video, let's like just go. And it's like I had to learn to slow down, because because in doing all that, in rushing and wanting to get everything out, like yes that's good because you're eager, because I was eager and I wanted to get my music heard, I wanted to get people to listen to it. In that eagerness, it made me make a lot of mistakes. So I have had to learn I've had to learn to slow down, because in slowing down, that has helped my creativity even more, because now my songs are even better. Everything sounds so much more well thought out, so much more well planned, more professional, you know. And then I just wouldn't have realized any of this had I not had, I don't even want to say had I not taken the time out to like rest my brain, because let's be honest, I didn't have the time. I wasn't given a choice. It was just thanks to my writer's block. I learned to see the light in not being creative all the time. Instead of looking at not being creative in a negative way, which I know a lot of us tend to do, I learned to see the light in not being creative all the time. That when I do take a break from music, I try to stop forcing the creativity of that. I find myself being creative in other ways, whether that be painting or dancing or just about or like videos or my podcasts, you know. It's like I find the creativity comes other places, and I slowly eventually circle my way back to music. Like I'm learning that it's not a creative rut, or not, it's not writer's block, it's nothing like that that's happening when I'm not wanting to record music, when I'm not wanting to write, or when I'm not wanting to work on music. It's not that I'm neglecting it, it's not that I have writer's block, or it's not that I'm being lazy, or it's not that I'm focused on it. It's just that I have come to finally realize the importance of not being creative all the time, the importance of resting your mind, the importance of listening to your body, and knowing that when the time is right, I know when it's time to record. I know when when I'm ready to record, I know the vocals or whatever it is I need to record is going to sound amazing, because I know in that moment what I want to do, like what I was supposed to do that day was record. And so I have learned to accept that I can't be constantly working on music, that I can't constantly be forcing myself to be creative all the time, because if I do that, I'm going to burn myself out. And I have learned that that is not good, especially if I want to be a successful musician, if I want to make money off of if I want to make a living off of my music. I can't force myself and I can't push myself to do all this work all the constantly and then crash and burn because I wore myself out creatively and I don't have the energy to do anything else, that I end up going on hiatus for another 5 years. It's like, no, I can't do that again. I can't do that anymore. I'm learning to pace myself, and although the pace I'm going is going to make me take a little bit longer, I know that the pace I'm going isn't going to burn me out and it's going to help me in the long run. And so that's what I mean when I say, like, I've come to learn to be okay with not being creative all the time. It's I've come to accept that I don't have to always write a song, or that I don't have to always, whenever I'm slowly learning to accept that when I pick up the guitar, it doesn't mean that I have to write a song. It doesn't mean that I have to record a song. It doesn't mean that I have to come up with a new chord progression. It just means that I simply can pick up the guitar and do whatever I want, whether that be scales, whether that be playing my own songs, whether that be learning new songs or other people's songs, which I haven't done in so long, which used to bring which would always bring me so much joy as a kid, like being able to play the songs you listen to, like, or a song that you really like and you're like, oh man, this would be so cool if I could play it on guitar. And it's like, you can, dog, just pick up your guitar and look up and how to play it and do it. And I just haven't done that in so long because I've kind of come to the idea that whenever I play guitar or whenever I practice one of my instruments, I have to write something. I have to do something new. I have to come up with something creative. When in reality, I don't have to. And in doing that, I've been holding myself back a lot in my progress, in my creativity. And now that I'm slowly learning to unlearn those things, now that I'm slowly remembering to go back to what it was like to just learn any songs, because honestly, learning songs is how you continue to expand as a musician. And so, sorry, I thought I heard something, but it's just the wind outside. anyways, but yeah, no, and because I have to remember that every time you learn songs, you're learning new songs helps you to continue to grow as a musician, because you're learning new chords, you're learning new progressions, you're learning new strumming patterns, you're learning new rhythms, you're learning so many new things that you didn't know before. And that's the beauty in learning songs from other people, or songs you heard on the radio, or just coming up with ideas. Is just that's the whole idea of practice. And I feel like I have stopped looking at practicing your instrument as a way of being creative. I've kind of began to look at practicing your instrument or doing scales or looking at learning other people's songs has become, I feel like I've looked at it in a way that it's not being creative, that you're not being original, that you're not doing your own thing, because you're not making your own original music, because you're not writing something new, when in reality it's like, no, you're not being it's not that you're not being creative, or yeah, you're not being original, but you're still being creative. Yeah, you're learning someone else's song, but in learning someone else's song, you're learning new chords, you're learning a new progression, I'm learning things that I can now add to my own music. And that's kind of something that I've been working a lot on, and it has been helping my music drastically, which is why I wanted to talk about it on the podcast. Is like this whole idea of musicians and artists and just people who are creators, like this whole idea that we have to constantly go, when in reality it's like, no, you don't have to do that. It's like, you can, and you could totally burn yourself out, or you could pace yourself. You could take the time to listen to your body. You could rest your mind, you could rest your body, you could take the time to not post every day, or you could take the time to listen to your body and do things when you know it is time to do things, or just when you feel like doing things, or when you genuinely feel creative to do something, you know? Because forcing yourself is definitely not the way to do things. That's not the way to be creative, even if you, no matter how badly want to be creative. Like, that's why when it comes to painting, it's not something I do all the time. It's like, yeah, I would love to get better at painting, but it's not something I want to force myself to do. It's not something I want to dive deeply into. I mean, well, like, I do, but at the same time, I want to do it when I'm ready to do it. I want to dive into painting. I want to better my skills at that when I'm really ready to do all that. And right now, I'm just having a nice time painting whenever I'm called to paint, and just kind of perfecting my skills as I go along and working with things as I do them. And honestly, painting is something I didn't know I would have enjoyed until now. You know, it's this idea of taking time away from your creative craft, that it opens you up to try other creative things, to get other outlets going. And honestly, you could be creative in so many other ways without being creative in your own craft, and that's something I've had to come to learn as well. And it's so crazy, you know, like how the mind works. Like when you step away from one creative thing, it like opens up your doors and your minds to other creative things, and it's just wild. And that's all. That's kind of like all I have to say on like why it's like I think it's important, and what I've come to learn about not being creative all the time. You know, that it's okay to not be creative all the time. It's okay to rest your head. It's okay to have a couple of days or a week or a month or a year where you're not creative or you're not doing anything creative. It doesn't mean anything's wrong with you. It doesn't mean you have to force yourself to do anything. It just means that you're resting. It just means that your mind needs a break. Your mind is tired, and your mind just needs to rest and regroup so that it could come back strong. It could come back with even more and better and brighter ideas. And it's just insane, you know. It's just insane, the pressure that we put on ourselves, especially as creators. People, well, not even, I don't really want to say creators. I mostly want to say musicians, you know, musicians and artists, you know, the insane amount of pressure we put on ourselves to be our best and do the best we can. It's insane, and I'm glad I'm slowly learning to be okay with going at the pace that I'm going, because I know I'm going to get where I want to be. It's going to take some time, but I am putting in the work. I am putting in the work. And it's taking time, but gosh darn it, I know my time is coming, because I could feel it in my bones. And this EP and this album that I'm working on and this new song that I just wrote for my album, everything is just coming along so beautifully. It's so beautiful, and I just can't wait to share it with people. I can't wait to get my EP professionally mixed and mastered. To have it professionally mixed and mastered, my EP that's truly what's gonna put it on. It's gonna just put everything over the top, you know. It's because I've gotten a lot better at mixing and at mixing, I should say, not mastering. I've gotten a lot better at mixing, I must say. But to get it professionally done, that's what's going to truly put this EP apart from all the other songs I have. Oh my gosh, all the other songs I have done that are currently on my Spotify that are going to make people's minds like just blown. Like they're either gonna be here and saw the potential I've had from the start and be like, oh my god, yes, she is growing, she is getting there, she is beginning to rise, you know. and then the people who haven't been there the whole time are going to hear what I started with, and they're going to be like, and then they're going to hear what I have now, and they're going to be like, what on earth did we, like, what happened, you know? It's gonna blow minds all over the place, and I'm just so here, and I'm just so ready for it. And I haven't started working on my EP yet, and I know past T Money would be really upset with myself, but current T Money now is like, no man, I just spent the past 9 months this year promoting all of my songs for my Bandcamp onto all streaming platforms. Like, the grind I've been doing for 9 months has been insane. I have not stopped. I have not had a real genuine vacation, and so I've taken the month of October to really not do much. I haven't done much work. I haven't worked on my EP, mostly because I haven't been called to. It's like, yes, I know I want to get it done. I want to get it sent to the mix and master, the sound engineer before the year's over. But I'm just not rushing myself because I just spent the past 9 months working so hard, and I absolutely deserve this month to do nothing, because in November I am going to get back into recording. I am going to start working on my EP again. I'm going to finish that up. I'm going to get my EP sent to the sound engineer by December. That is my goal for myself. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen because I am slowly getting myself back into the groove of recording, into writing, which is why I've just recently written a new song. It is so amazing. It is so beautiful. The vocals are exactly what I needed to find, to experience, to discover, so I could finally finish the last song I need to sing just by myself on the EP, so I could finally record that, because now it's beautiful. I found it. I know exactly how I'm going to sing it, how it's going to really just be the icing on the cake for this song. So I'm really excited to start recording that song and then get my cousin out here to finish up the last and final song on the EP. And then after that, there'll just be one final song with the harmonies me and Jared got to work on again, and then it'll be sending off to the sound engineer. We'll be working on that, and then I will excitedly be working on music videos, promos, ideas, and everything else that's going to be coming with the EP. It's going to be a lot more work, a whole lot of things, but I'm telling you, this EP is what's going to do it for me. This EP, I have a lot of plans for it, a lot of things, a lot of videos, but I know I could feel it in my bones. I could see it. I know what I have to do. I know what I want to do with it, and I'm going to get it all done. I'm going to execute my plan beautifully, and I'm going to get the goals that I want, and it's just going to be the most amazing EP that I put out there. It's truly going to be like my comeback EP. The song I wrote for my grandmother truly shows the growth I currently have now, which is, I'm glad. And now when they get this EP, they're going to just be blown into the water. And then after that, I'm going to follow it up with probably a single, and then my album, and then that's and then after that, we don't know. We're just going to see from there. Right now, we're just mostly focusing on my EP and finishing that up and seeing where that goes and seeing where that takes me. And I know it's going to take me far. It's going to take me places, and I'm excited for that journey, and I'm ready for that journey. And, well, you heard it here, folks, And if you're listening to it now, just know I'm ready for what I'm about to receive, and I'm ready to take what is mine and what I was destined for. Now or Never is going to become a household name, and this EP is going to blow you out of the water. The songs I've written, the time and the work I've put into it, the growth, the learning I've done, it's all been leading up to this, folks. I'm so excited, and I cannot wait, and I couldn't have done this. I could not have done this without the forced writer's blocks that I have had for a couple years and my accident. It would have taken, it's taken a lot of work and a lot of time to get to where I am, to being okay with not being creative all the time. But if you start now, if you start learning to be okay with not being creative now, it'll help you so much more in the long run. In the future, it'll help your creative juices, it'll help your brain, it'll help so much things in the long run. Once you learn to start listening to your body, once you start to be okay with not forcing yourself to be creative all the time, to write songs, to do paintings, to do drawings, whatever it is that you do, just learn to listen to your body and learn to recognize when it's time to rest and when it's time to be creative. That is what I want to leave you guys with this week on Tea Money Talks. I really enjoyed this. I really enjoyed this podcast. I hope you all enjoyed last month's spooky season. I promise eventually Tea Money Talks will be genuinely like, it'll have a real eventually I'll be on top of everything. I feel it. I know I will. I'm getting my bearings, I'm getting into the groove of everything. Slowly but surely I am learning, and slowly but surely I will succeed. So, until next time, guys, this is T Money saying live your life because you are the only one who gets it. Alright, bye!